Hey, Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome to the Aztec Overexplained series. We're making really good progress across all fronts. Our science push is working out really well. We have universities and libraries and campuses coming up across our entire empire. And anywhere that we aren't bringing those things up, we're bringing up other critical infrastructure like commercial hubs. We have a huge potential to expand to the west. And I think that's going to be our main goal once all of our universities are done. There we go. We managed to pick up astronomy from building a university adjacent to a mountain. So we're boosting techs that we should. I don't have the Enlightenment Civic, and I won't get it for a while because it's pretty deep into the culture tree, which would have been nice to get the boost for scientific theory. I could delay scientific theory because we're only in the medieval era, and that means Renaissance era techs and industrial era techs are much more expensive. You can see the price of this should be 930, but because it's ahead of time, it's costing 1,116. So this takes a lot longer to research. But I think getting the Oxford University could be so potentially useful that I think we will go for it. One thing I should also think about is maybe looking if I can get some room for great works of writing, because that could be another way to boost my science if I'm able to get suzerainty over Anshan. Speaking of Anshan, I would like to switch in the Envoy card so that I could get up to level 2 with them, because that'll give me +1 science in all of my libraries and +2 science in all of my universities. And that would be pretty important to me. We finished a university in Sempoala. We could go ahead and get to work on the bank. There's quite a few things I could get to work on in here. I could, in theory, decide to get any of these districts. For example, I could go for a theatre square and potentially look to buy some great works of writing from some of the other players. If I go ahead and take a look, by the way, this is the real great people screen. It allows you to filter by great person. There are some great works of writing out there for me to purchase, which would allow me to get my culture up. So it really depends. How important is my culture to me right now? And I would say my culture is relatively important. So I would maybe want to look for a way to boost my culture here. And that's going to be relatively difficult because culture is a fairly hard yield to get boosted. I do need to get my culture up. On the other hand, I could keep expanding, building settlers and builders. I could build builders out of here. The thing is, building a settler is kind of like building a builder because I get a free builder for every settler that I build. So that's like a pretty good return on investment. So like I get like 400 production worth of value for 300 production right now. And with all this available land, and I have most of my land improved, maybe getting a settler would be the right move. There is an argument to be made here for getting the settler. There's also an argument for the bank, although I think the bank is the lower value proposition. A district wouldn't be bad. That's the thing. Let me go ahead and have a look at my city overlap panel here. Yeah, I don't have very good locations for entertainment complexes down here, which makes it a little bit difficult to justify going for an entertainment complex, which is kind of what I want here, because it would be potentially leading to a lot of culture. The problem is theatre squares just don't have a lot of value unless you actually go for the great works of writing. And in this particular situation, because I have enough gold to maybe buy some great works of writing, I am going to go for the theatre square. I just need to get that culture up a little bit. Otherwise, in basically every city, I'm going to be going for science buildings right now. In Huexotla, I've managed to get it quite improved. We're going to get to work on that commercial hub. And when it gets to 4 population, we'll want to buy this tile and place the campus. I'm tempted to chop here in order to get this market done a little bit faster. And plus, the production will overflow into the campus. And I'm not even working that tile. So chopping a couple of times in the city seems like a totally reasonable thing to do, especially because I only need 11 more era score to hit my next milestone. I probably should have built an entertainment complex here. Yeah, I could have got my unique building and that would have been 4 era score. This should have been an entertainment complex. So that's a mistake I've just made and I've only just realized it. So it's too late to go back and change that, but that's why you have to be kind of careful about the decisions that you make. Theoretically, I could get another entertainment complex over in Guangzhou. It has the production for it. I could get it in 7 turns. There's at least 13 turns left in this era. So yeah, I think that's kind of the direction we're going to head. All right, perfect. There's exploration. We can change our government. This is also going to be worth era score. So we're moving from Classical Republic over to Merchant Republic. That's going to change some of our points here. We are getting a 15% great person boost. Instead, we'll be getting a 15% production towards districts boost. We're also getting amenities and housing, but we can keep that bonus if we use our wildcard slot on it. So let's go ahead and switch over to Merchant Republic. This should significantly increase the flexibility of my government. I can put Professional Army up here. I will also be putting in a Diplomatic League to be replaced with Merchant Confederation later. I don't think I want any of these. I think getting 7 housing and 7 amenities from a single card here is super valuable. And I also think that in terms of military policy card, I think this is totally reasonable right now. Urban planning is probably going out the window soon. I could pick up an extra 17 science or an extra 12 gold. And I think 17 science is quite a bit for me to ignore. And I may as well take bastions here just to give my cities a little bit of defense strength. So I'm pretty happy with this government now. My gold income should go up significantly and my empire in general should be in a little bit of a better position. So we have Merchant Republic, which is our tier 2 government. We need to think about what our next steps are. We need 5 more era score. I think we're probably going to be fine without an entertainment complex, actually, because we're building a lot of science building. So I think we might be able to manage this golden age. And this is really, really important that we get this golden age because there's 2 really, really important golden ages in this game. It's the classical era golden age and the industrial era golden age. Both of those are really, really important. But a Renaissance heroic age, I would say, is arguably good enough. That would be the argument I would make. I would say a Renaissance heroic age is kind of good enough. It's going to give us a lot of really, really good mid-game tempo. So things have worked out really, really well for us. So now we want to start thinking about our empire is beginning to mature. So some of our trade routes are going to be sending to the outside world, which means we want to start thinking about who are we going to try to get alliances with? Are we going to try and get an alliance with some of our neighbors, try to do particular alliances? So I think heading down towards diplomatic service here, which will give us access to spies as well as the chancery building, for our diplomatic quarter, is kind of the right direction that we should head. My capital grows in 1 turn, which will allow me to place the diplo quarter. In this particular game, I would estimate that Grandmaster's Chapel is probably the weakest. Foreign Ministry and Intelligence Agency are both valid choices here, and I feel like Intelligence Agency gives me a lot of flexibility with my spies. So I'll put a turn into that before I switch over to diplomatic policy cards, or diplomatic buildings. The capital has reached 10 population, which is 3n plus 1. It's 3 times 3 plus 1, so that's another breakpoint. We can place the diplomatic quarter because eventually we would like to put the spaceport beside the diplomatic quarter. And the reason we want to put the spaceport next to the diplomatic quarter is because your diplomatic quarter gives adjacent districts extra defense against spies, which means this spaceport, it will be harder for them to pillage with spies, which is usually the way that the AI tries to stop you from winning the diplomatic victory. In addition, building the diplomatic quarter in the city will actually give me access to even better internal trade routes because it adds +1 food and +1 production to the domestic destination trade routes. So the trade routes going to this city will go from being 3-3 to 4-4, which is a significant upgrade. It's a 33% upgrade. And I will still continue. There will be another expansion phase of my empire relatively soon, actually. It's kind of coming. It's on its way. It's not here yet, but it is on the way. I could get Irene of Athens, which would be another great merchant. I think I will just yoink her. I would have liked Marco Polo, but that's okay. We didn't get Marco Polo. I think getting great merchants is quite valuable here. I'm going to pop her in here, get that extra governor title. And this governor title will be going into Reina because we're looking to go for contractor here. We have an aqueduct on the way. All things are looking great. How many science buildings do I have coming? I think I have enough science buildings. There's 10 turns left in the era. I think we're going to be fine here, depending on how things work out. One trick for the border control treaty, the AI never votes for themselves. Ever, literally never votes for themselves with any alacrity. So you could put 1 vote on yourself, or even 2 would be enough. And then that's all you need. You never need to do more than this, and you will win this 100% of the time. So this is basically a free diplomatic victory point. In terms of patronage, usually they vote for what somebody is earning the most of that no one else is earning. So my estimation here is it would either be great writers or great merchants. And my guess is they're going to try to block me from earning great merchants. So I'm also going to go ahead and vote towards blocking great merchants just with 1 point. This is sort of like a predictive block pick that I estimate they're going to try and stop me from earning those great merchants. And it looks like I won both of these things. So just understanding how these work and why they work and what you need to do is just, it's basically just pattern recognition, right? I vote for myself twice. I automatically win. I know that they want to stop whoever they're at war with or whoever they don't like or whatever they're not earning. It's pretty predictable that they're going to vote what they're going to vote for based on the available information in the game. You just have to do a little bit of research. Now, in terms of civil service, that's quite good. I can now get alliances, although nobody really likes me except for the Cree. And the Cree is actually a really good alliance target. So I'm going to go ahead and make a friendship with them and send them a delegation. And then I want to figure out where exactly the Cree are. The Cree are not there. I actually don't know where the Cree are, but I'm going to go ahead and make a military alliance with them, which should make me feel relatively well defended. And by making an alliance with them, it'll actually reveal the map for me. So it looks like they're over here, and I do want to expand towards them because the Cree have a special ability where if you're their ally, you actually get the knowledge of the world. So now if people declare war on me, the Cree will automatically be called to war, and I'll have +5 combat strength against them. So this is quite valuable to use. Let's go ahead and have a look here. The guild's technology, I'm going to go ahead and grab that. There's +1 governor title. And then we're going to make our way towards diplomatic service again because I want the chancery building for the extra influence points as well as the ability to build another spy. Hello, Cree. Nice to meet you. The emergency will fail for the AI here and I'll win it. So I'll get +4 era score, which is fantastic for me. So I gain 200 diplo favor, which I can immediately just turn around and sell to the AI because I just won. Maybe I can get a lot of gold from Congo, for example. Yeah, he'll give me 63 gold per turn. Hold on. I think I was getting about that much for way less. Yeah, 58 gold per turn for 150 Diplo favor. That's totally a reasonable trade deal here. So you got to look for ways you can get value from the AI. I do have room for a great work. And unfortunately, a volcano erupted here, destroying my campus. A little bit unfortunate, not the end of the world. I am going to go ahead and get to work on a consulate. Actually, one advantage of the diplomatic district buildings is you can actually buy them. So the reason you want these is because it's the only way in the game, really, that you have to influence your envoy rate. So right now I'm earning 7 influence points per turn. I should be earning 5, so I'm earning about 40% more. If I get a consulate, I'll be earning another 40% more. So I'm nearly making envoys at double the rate, which will give me a lot more control over these city-states, and city-states are how you scale your empire. Again, like I said before, the only other way that you really scale up how many envoys you make is by upgrading your government level. You can see here, this is 5 influence for 150 turns to get 2, and then this one is 7 influence for 200 points to get 3. So the amount of envoys you get scales up over the game, and you want as many envoys as you can get because fighting over these city-states is actually really important. I also want to make friends with Anshan. So right now I'm making 91 science per turn and I have no envoys inside Anshan, but I have built a lot of scientific infrastructure. So if I put a single point into Anshan, that will boost my science up to 95. If I put another point into Anshan, because I have the double point from putting the first point in, I'll get up to level 3, which will give me 2 science in every university and consulate, and my science will jump up to 102. So that's like a 10%-ish or more science increase from just a couple of points of envoys in city-states. So that's why it's a really, really efficient thing to do and why you should look to do it in all of your games. And now I have a fully built diplomatic quarter and my trade routes to the city are better. Unfortunately, my campus was pillaged and science is really important to me, so I have to spend a bunch of time doing that now. And I really, really want this amphitheater so that I can buy some great works of writing with all that money I just made from the Congo. Looks like the units of Grand Columbia have finally arrived, which is kind of an interesting thing. Looking at the city of Gwangju, we have a really, really well-built city. You could make an argument for going for a theater square here. It would be a reasonable thing to do. You could make the argument. I think I'm going to go ahead and build the barracks. Then do I want a theater square? The city's production is not very good. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's bad for building wonders. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for the theater square in here. I just want to get my culture up a little bit in some of these cities. And it looks like we found the Giant's Causeway. Now, the Giant's Causeway is a really, really important military natural wonder. It also gives you culture, but the important thing is that it gives your units +5 combat strength. You can see here down in the unit card, Spear of Fionn, +5 combat strength. +5 combat strength is like being half a tech ahead in terms of units. Because if we take a look at the Knight upgrades from the Heavy Chariot. The Heavy Chariot, well, I guess this is a bad example. It's probably better to look at later game. So like if we look at the Musketman has 55 combat strength. It upgrades into line infantry, which have 65. So 5 combat strength is about half of a tech upgrade for a unit, like half an era. So +5 combat strength is pretty valuable. This is going to be a high priority wonder for me to get control of. Let's continue to shoot and defend this city. My city is really, really well defended. We have like a very, very strong defense here. Now against like a real offense, it wouldn't work at all. But against like the meager resistance that the AI usually kind of resolves to send at you, you'll be fine. I completed the library in Teotihuacan, so I would like to gain access to this tile right here. Here's another tip. Like let's say I wanted to gain access to this tile right here. A player might buy this tile and then this tile, okay? But like if you look at third ring tiles, they cost 165 gold. So if I were to try to buy this tile, it would cost me 165 gold. So I'm better off buying this tile. And you see the 165 gold. Then I switch to this city. Well, I need a tiny little bit more gold to show this off. Hold on. There you go. Buy my tobacco. Now, right, if I buy this tile from Malinalco, it's 110 gold. If I buy it from here, it's 165. So I'm better off buying it from here, then coming over here, going to the citizen screen and swapping it. And now I can place my commercial hub next to a river that doesn't interfere with any of my planned infrastructure. So, you know, just like little tips like that, little small efficiencies actually add up over the course of a game. So it's important to keep stuff like that in mind. There's like very small little optimal moves will actually save your game. And it looks like Simon Bolivar threw a few units at me and now he wants peace. So that's the first person out of the war. Now that the emergency is over, people should be a little bit more willing to break war. Korea just can't sustain her military at all. The problem with Korea is that she runs into every single game is her technology goes too fast for her production. And so she loses a unit and then it takes her 40 turns to rebuild it. So she just always ends up in a situation where she can't make units. I don't have any good external trade routes. The only external that I have is Leventa, whereas I could continue to get 4 food and 4 production from my internals. So I'm going to continue to get 4 food, 4 production from my internals. Why wouldn't I? It's like 40% of the city's production. I definitely need to get a builder over here. Once Sempawala is done making the amphitheater, I think it's builder spam time, at least a few of them. Our borders are beginning to expand again, which means it's roughly time to get more builders. Like our population is increasing, all that sort of stuff. Nice, we've unlocked guilds. This gives us access to a few things, most notably a governor title and a couple of okay cards and an interesting wonder that we won't be building. Let's go ahead and talk to Reyna. We're going to go ahead and take Tax Collector for the +2 gold because we're working towards Contractor so that any of these new cities that we plan to settle, we can actually use our massive gold income to accelerate their development. So that's kind of the goal that we're looking for here. That's kind of the late game play that we're setting ourselves up for. So the city of Texcoco has built its commercial hub. We could probably justify buying a market. In terms of my third district here, the problem is the city lacks production. So it'll just take us a while to get a third district. So it'll be busy for a very long time, but I still want to place a district ideally. Because right now, a lot of my districts are half price. If you look at the cost of some of these districts, you can see like a lot of them say 20 and some of them say 12. The ones that say 20 are ones that I've already built a significant amount of. It's hard to explain exactly how the formula works, but basically the more districts that you build in total, the more district discounts your civilization will accumulate for districts that you haven't built an average amount of. So let's say I have, 10 unlocked districts and I've built 10 campuses. I will have one discount for those 9 other types of districts. Does that make sense? Because the amount I have built of them is lower than the average I've built of all of them. If I had if I had built 10 campuses and 10 commercial hubs, all 8 of the other districts would have 2 discounts each. So, and the discount is used up when you place the district. So that's really, really important to keep in mind. I don't actually have an incredibly good place to put this city's stuff. What we could do is maybe do a little bit of planning here. For example, I think it would be perfectly reasonable for me to put farms here on this territory, in which case maybe it would be reasonable for me to build an entertainment complex here. This entertainment complex will hit quite a few cities in the future. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and place here, and we'll get to work on that later on. But we're just locking in this discounted district, right? Normally this would be a 20-turn investment, but it's actually only a 12-turn, which is about on par with our market. But we're not going to be building that for a little while, at least not until we have access to natural history, so we can use the zoo, which will give us AoE amenities, just like this gives you AoE production. So yeah, planning your empire around using your district discounts is like a really important way of like optimizing your empire. Most of the time I ignore it because I can get away with it. How important is it to me right now that I get spies? I think getting my spies up here is important enough to where I will further delay my next settling phase. Now, my next settling phase is coming, but it's not here yet. We got our barracks in Gwangju, which has given the city a little bit of housing room. It would be nice to get the bank in here. However, really looking at the city, what I need is to get peace with Korea. Like, Korea just needs to peace me out, please. And she wants like way too much stuff for, I don't know why, but I think it's relatively safe here. This city has, well, maybe I should work on the theater square. Maybe I should work on the theater square first because I need to get that culture up. Yeah, I'll get the theater square. We got a university in Teo. Let's get to work on a granary and let's get to work on a commercial hub. The city is getting close to its growth limit and it has reasonably okay tiles for it to continue to work. So I think a granary into a commercial hub here is a perfectly reasonable thing to do, especially because the city has really, really good production. Korea is finally willing to give me a normal peace, so I will accept it, which means this area of settlement is now kind of available to me. And I also have a few turns here to maybe send a couple of units to go deal with these barb camps down here. Because there is actually a really, really good campus, like a +4 campus baseline. And there's also a meteor strike that I can fix. So getting prepared for the next settlement phase, basically. Apparently, a settler has just been delivered to me. Was this my settler? What is happening? I can't afford a knight right now. Hold on. Let me just go ahead and purchase myself a knight here. I can go kill that crossbowman and get a free settler. I'm not sure where that one came from or who that one is from. Kind of blindsided by this a little bit. I don't know why it's advancing into my territory, but I mean, I'm not going to look a gift settler in the mouth. Now, I might kiss your mom in the mouth, but that's a different story. All right, let's go ahead and get a granary here in the city. The world enters into the Renaissance era, which is a beautiful, beautiful time for us because, like I said, we have managed to earn ourselves a heroic age by carefully constructing how we build our empire. Military engineering has advanced. Now we have access to Oxford University. Perhaps we should consider building Oxford University somewhere. There are plenty of places where it could be considered. This is Hills, damn. Actually, I may have slightly screwed myself on Oxford University placement because I can only build it in a really ineffective city. One moment, please. Yeah, I forgot to leave a good spot for Oxford. I thought I had one over here, but then I realized this is now actually a mine. So I guess we're skipping Oxford University, and this scientific theory play was actually just a mistake. Instead, we're going to go ahead and pick up military engineering because it gives us access to niter. Niter is another strategic resource that gives you food and production, so it just improves the quality of your land. It also gives you access to the armory building, the military engineer and the trebuchet, all things which you can potentially put to use in your empire. I also recommend, where possible, pick up technologies that only take you one turn. So now we're in a golden age, which means we have to choose between 3 of these things to take with us. We're definitely going to take Reform the Coinage because this is the era where we start trading internationally. I'm tempted to take Hicks Dracones because it would severely accelerate like the few cities I plan to settle here. Here's the question, where am I settling? That's like the really, really important question that I ask myself here, because the quality of land here is quite low, and the Ottomans have made it even worse by settling this absolute dog crap city, and they wouldn't in a million years ever give it to me, I don't think. Yeah, unfortunately, the AI just never considers a city trade to ever be viable. For whatever reason, they just won't do it, which is really, really unfortunate because I had planned to like settle all along here, but I guess the Ottomans just got to it first. So let's instead look at how we could settle up to and into the Ottoman's face. How is this a minus 16? That makes no sense. How is this a minus 20 in a heroic age? That's insane. There's no way that's true. Unless loyalty works completely differently from how I think it works, there's no way this screen is telling the truth to me. Yeah, but we want to basically settle in the Ottoman's face to try and take as much of this land, this high quality land, to ourselves. And we also want to make use of this river. So 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking something in this kind of a configuration. This gets control. There's 3 cities here. Do I want to settle on the horses or beside the horses? I think settling on the horses is more reasonable here. So there's 3 cities over here. Is there a viable tundra city? There is diamonds down here, which is worth it to get us the Aztecs. There's also a nice geothermal here for a nice campus. So there is a campus down here somehow. I think that this location here gives me a viable harbor. So I'm looking at 4 settlers over here on the eastern side, which I think does make Hicks Dracones worth taking over Exodus of the Evangelists. So I'm going to go Monumentality, Exodus of the Evangelists, Hicks Dracones, and Reform the Coinage. And we go for Monumentality just because it might let me buy a settler, like one singular settler. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to buy ourselves a settler. We got the aqueduct in Malinalco. We definitely want the city to grow. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work on a granary so we can get the city to grow a little bit faster. Actually, the city needs production. It needs a builder. I have builders coming, so we'll get to work on that. Aztec Overexplained. I want my city's at its housing limit. Let's get the granary and then the university. So when you hit your housing limit, that's about a good time to get the granary. Yoink, free settler. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the free settler. I appreciate that. You're going to go ahead and wake up and take the land unit attack promotion. The Ottomans are happy that we live in harmony. Diplomatic service, we have access to the Chancery, as well as a few new cards, particularly to do with spies. And now we also have the Alliance card. So it would be nice if we could get a trade routes with an ally. It would be nice if we could make allies with Korea, but for some reason she hates me. Even though I haven't done anything to her for a very, very long time. Like, sure, I took a city off you like a long, 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 long time ago. But like, that was a long, long time ago. And that's just one of the unfortunate consequences you're going to have to deal with if you go aggressive on a neighbor. They may potentially hate you for the rest of the game. So this is an awkward situation. I'm going to put my crossbowman behind my man-at-arms to give my man-at-arms +2 combat strength on the defense. But yeah, the barbs over here. This is why I say the barbarians tend to make the game easier, because they've probably been running around here inside the AI's lands, causing trouble for them for like the last God knows how long. It's probably why Korea has basically no military. So we picked up merchant exploration. I think it would be nice to pick up humanism. Getting access to art museums and archaeological museums would be quite good. I find archaeological museums tend to be better in science games. It would be good to pick up theology for 1 envoy and naval tradition for another envoy. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time picking up those envoys. Envoys are valuable. And we now have the infrastructure to where like sending envoys to city-states is actually quite valuable to us. Let's make friends with Kumasi. I'll put 1 point into Kumasi and then another point into Kumasi. And I think I would like to be suzerain of Kumasi. And it's for 2 reasons. One main reason is that I'm at the phase of the game where I want to start considering trading externally to my empire. And Kumasi gives you a lot of culture and gold for doing that. Additionally, I also just unlocked a really key card for external trade route with your suzerain city-states, which gives you +2 food, +2 production to trading with city-states. And that will open up some external trade routes for me. In particular, especially once I hit democracy, I can get up to 6 food and 6 production for trade routes to city-states that I'm suzerain of. So I could lose, theoretically here, maybe there's a way that I can show this. I'll wait until the trade route comes up and then I'll show and talk about it. Here we go, trade route. So if I were to trade with Leventa, I could go from getting 4 food, 4 production to trading with Leventa to pick up 2 food, 2 production, 3 gold, and 2 faith, which theoretically I think actually will be an upgrade in the long term, especially once this road is built. The gold yield from these trade routes will go up significantly. So I think that's the direction we're going to head. I'm going to take out Diplomatic League and plug in Wisselbanken. And eventually I would like to take out Natural Philosophy and put in Trade Confederation. But that'll be dependent upon, like, I'm in the transition phase of like where my trade routes are going. So that's going to take a while before we'll be able to do that. I have this settler. I need to think about how I want to settle here. There is like truffles. Oh, actually, oh my God. I need to get settling. I need to, I need to finish theology and I need to get settling. I have Hicks on Dracones and I didn't realize there was another continent split over here, which is absolutely massive for my game. Because I have Hicks on Dracones, which gives me +3 population for cities settled on a different continent, which is like a huge tempo gain. Let me do the maths on that. I think it's like a city starts with an extra 100 food, or maybe 200 food, probably more like 100 food, which is like a significant boost if you consider that I already have Ancestral Hall, which gives me, oh man, also incredible tiles here. Now my problem is truffles are improved with a camp, and I have Goddess of the Hunt. And while theoretically I would like to settle on where the truffles are, I don't think that works for me this game. So I might settle the Desert Hill, because that will get me access to truffles and Mercury, and the city is relatively coastal. It puts me somewhat in control of Giant's Causeway, a little bit better control. This isn't really... These are really, really bad settlement locations, actually. And I don't want to interfere with this river settle, because this is potentially like a really powerful river settle for me. So yeah, I think the Desert Hill is my best choice. Very, very unfortunate for that. Let's go ahead and shoot this guy, and then shoot this guy, and then attack this guy. So we cleared out a barb here. Now we have to deal with this man-at-arms as well, which shouldn't be too difficult. So yeah, I'm going to be sacrificing a little bit of my empire's like efficiency and stuff like that just to absolutely crank settlers right now. It's like the perfect time. It's like there is no more perfect a time. There's theology. We can go ahead and change our policies. I'm going to go ahead and lose this science. That's how important this is to me. I need serfdom. Republican legacy I could probably honestly drop, but this like would slow down how quickly I build my settlers. I need this. I have settlers queued up here. Basically, everywhere that has its campus fully built will be making settlers for me. If it has a market and a university, then it's probably settler time. Also, I need to be buying settlers with gold because they're quite cheap this era. So that's something we're going to be doing. Let's get ourselves a settler in Guangzhou. It's settler time. So we got access to niter, and we didn't actually find a source of niter inside my empire. There's a few around, and you can see like they just become better tiles. So it's good to unlock strategic resources if you can. I'm going to go ahead and make my way towards industrialization for that +1 production from mines. Is there anything I can do to boost stuff here? No, these are 1-turn techs, so I'll grab those 1-turn techs. I'm sitting on an envoy. Let's send it to Kumasi. Boom. Now we're suzerain of Kumasi. So now when I check this trade route that is heading to Leventa, you can see here it's 2 food, 2 production, 4 gold, 2 culture, and 2 faith. Like that's a really, really good trade route compared to 4 food, 4 production that I was getting for these internal. So you can see how internal trade routes carry you in the early game, and then you transition to externals. So I hope that like really, really demonstrates the concept of the trading transition timing that I went for here. I need to think about how I go about managing this battle here. I think this is fine, and I want to attack because that's when I'm strongest as the Aztec. Aztecs have a lot of combat strength bonuses for attacking, so I want to like hurt my enemies as much as possible here. I'm actually like helping Korea so much. I need my 3rd crossbowman. I thought I would be fine here. I didn't realize there was like a massive array of barbs down here. And it does look they're not interested in me, which is kind of odd. I've never seen a barb not be interested in killing me because they usually beeline straight for a player's units. Let's go ahead and settle right here on the horses, which is our first settlement on a new continent, which does give us a little bit of era score. And now we can start to design this city. So I think, again, some sort of trading district, like a commercial hub, plus some kind of science district. Our best science district in this city is honestly here. And while harbors are good, I think it's hard to justify harbors. So instead, I'll probably do commercial hub there. It's not a very good commercial hub, but it is a commercial hub. That's the meat and potatoes of that issue. I got my granary over here. I don't have any real infrastructure built. I need to buy this campus tile to make it cheaper, and so I will. But you can 12 turn a settler in here. Like your production in the city is relatively good, so that's what we're going to do. Now I want to prioritize putting my trade routes in cities that are new, weak, or are working on markets. So this city, it might be good to trade with Leventa, I think. I would lose 2 food, 2 production, but I would make myself and Leventa quite a bit stronger economically. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I want a trade route in this city. I could maybe faith purchase trade routes because they're quite cheap. They're only 165, and I don't really have the faith income for anything else. But most of my gold income will be going towards purchasing settlers. So I need to be kind of a little bit careful about how I spend my money here. But yeah, like look at this city. Starting with 4 population is just such a huge boost because it means you can work 4 tiles. Like the second I improve this, it's being worked. It's just such a big advantage to do it. And like the crazy thing is you could immediately go for a settler in here. I won't do that. Instead, I think the city could use like I know I need to get rid of these boats. So I think a district is going here. So I'm going to go ahead and chop that. That will finish the monument instantly. And then I can place the commercial hub. Let's purchase a settler in Gwangju to head down here so we can pick up these cities that we want. We got a commercial hub in Teotihuacan and I want a lot of gold and I want more trade routes. So I'm going to prioritize getting the market in here. I have an envoy and I have suzerainty held over all of the city-states that I care about right now. It looks like whichever of those other militaristic city-states that I used to hold, and I don't remember who it was, looks like they were killed, which is unfortunate, unless I'm misremembering who it was. But yeah, Kumasi being killed is a real threat, so we're going to want to keep an eye on them. Let's go. It's me. It's Mario. I'm going to hold on to my envoy because mostly I want to hold up the suzerainty of Kumasi. Reina is now max level. So once all of my gold is spent on settlers, I'll be able to start buying districts with her, which will be a significant boost. I have my very first spy out. And generally, you want to look for commercial hubs. This is the better spy screen mod. It allows you to filter by district. So for example, I could steal gold from Korea. I could steal gold over here. It's 400 gold. It's 300 here. I'll steal gold from Korea because they're the person I'm least likely to get an alliance with. So stealing gold from them is like the best thing I can do. So again, I think it's a good idea to try to finish out your cheap technologies. Like, we're in the Renaissance era. So like we should research like anything that's only like 2 turns. Like just get those out of the way. We got our granary in Malinalco. So we're waiting for the city to get to 7 population so that we can place our industrial zone. And I'm even prioritizing that over the university and the bank here, just because the city's production is a little bit weak. So I have to kind of like make decisions that are maybe a little bit suboptimal because of decisions I made earlier for the sake of just having a slightly better game. I'm going to use a little bit of my precious gold to get access to truffles here, just because it's going to make this city so much better. But you do want to be very, very selective in how you use your gold. I'm probably only going to get like 2 to 3, maybe 4 settler purchase off this entire era. So spending gold willy-nilly is probably not what I want to be doing. So I finally got the lumber mills up in Malinalco, which is helping the city out tremendously. I'm very happy about that. Took me a while, but we got there in the end. And the nice thing as well is about these newly settled cities, like they haven't grown to any really improvable tiles. So you can kind of take the builders that you get for free from these newly settled cities and send them back to help your current cities kind of get back up to speed if they're missing a few builder charges. So there's like a whole synergy here to this in making your cities kind of dance in a perfect union, working together, helping each other, reinforcing each other's abilities, doing everything you need to get over the line and get the big victory, which is honestly the thing that we're looking for here. Right, there's printing. Printing is an important technology for several reasons. It unlocks the Forbidden City, which is one of the best wonders in the entire game. However, it is quite difficult to build the Forbidden City just because the AI actually finds it quite easy to build it. And also just like in this particular game, I don't think building a wonder helps me scale. I think building a larger empire helps me scale. So settlers are just better. The other important thing about printing is that it gives you +1 diplomatic visibility with all other civilizations in the game. Diplomatic visibility is an important thing to keep track of because it will increase your defense and offense during a war. You can see here, there's no combat strength bonus between me and Korea from diplomatic visibility. But if I were to try to attack, I don't know. Let's see, can I find someone who's like way behind me in technology that maybe I can use this example on? No, I should have done it before I researched printing. But basically, diplomatic visibility is combat strength. And so it's an important thing to keep in mind. Commercial hub completed in Teo. Again, go for the market. I should really think about my 3rd district. And it'll almost certainly be a theater square. Because again, you want to go like... I think like a general plan is to go for like culture, science, and gold in some order. And then like for a SimCity build, right? You want to go for culture, science, and gold. Or yeah, culture, science, and gold in some order. And then decide if you're going to go for like a victory condition of some kind. So like, if you don't know what you're going to do, if you get all 3 of those, you'll be able to do whatever you want in terms of domination and science victory. So, which, you know, it's a particular style. Culture style is different. We're playing more science dom style, SimCity styles. If we just have so much room, why wouldn't we? So we have a lot of room for trade route. 29 turns for a settler is a little bit too long for this city. The city's going to take a long time to build anything except for traders. So I'm just going to get it to help me a little bit with my trader production. Every city needs to help. Again, the city of Teo, while I do like the 4 food, 4 production, 2 food, 2 production is relatively good alongside the gold, culture, and faith here. And that culture and faith is slowly but surely making it more and more viable for me to plug in the Trade Confederation card as well. Let's upgrade well, I have to be very careful with my gold. I won't upgrade this crossbowman actually. So I've improved all the tiles that I can justify improving in this brand new city for now. And I want to look at some of my nearby cities and see if there's tiles I could improve. Like there's a lumber mill here that I can improve, which is just give this city +2 production, which means that it has +2 production, which is a significant advantage. Always be looking for the advantage you can take. So in terms of the northern settles, I want to prioritize settling. Oh my God, there's another continent up here. I don't even know what's happening anymore. But yeah, I want to prioritize settling in North America along this strip of land. It looks like my ally is kind of heading this way as well. But yeah, I want to prioritize settling along this nice open plain. So I have 1, 2, and if I can buy one more settler, that would be 3 heading south. I can buy another settler from the city next turn, which means all of my settlements to the south should be taken care of. But we will continue to make settlers in here. I don't think I can put lumber mills on rainforests yet, but I will put lumber mills on rainforests in this city in particular, but I can also take some time to build a couple of farms. Like, why not? Those tiles are being worked anyway, so they can be improved. Sure, what's the harm? So while I would like the 4 food for production here, I'm tempted to trade with Leventa because it's actually so much gold eventually. Once the roads are built, I wish I could, can I show this yet? Yeah, it's 5 gold. The trade route should change when the road is actually built, I think. I would like to build an armory to get the boost for gunpowder, so I'm probably going to prioritize getting cartography and square rigging here because they lead to industrialization, which I want anyway. So I can get the boosts over here. Always be looking for boosts you can pick up. Let's go ahead and get to work on that industrial zone because we're getting prepped for the future here. We could probably build a settler in a reasonable amount of turns, but I think having an explosive industrial era would be really, really powerful. So I'll prioritize the industrial zone a little bit. Tlacopan is making progress. I haven't yet been able to place a district in here, which is slightly unfortunate, but we can get to work on things like granaries and builders while we're waiting for the borders to grow. Because remember, our gold is a little bit constrained right now. That's just the unfortunate reality that we find ourselves in. Wow, he used a great general to steal the meteor site from me. I was literally about to get it this turn. The AI is so troll, dude. They have like perfect timing to troll you. God, I'm so annoyed by this settlement. It like screws me out of like such good land. There's silver here. Well, look. It's life. Now, my empire is getting bigger, which means I need more military to defend it. Although I have relatively good relations with most people on the map. And when I say relatively good relations, I mean nobody's at war with me. That's like good enough, baby. So I'm using my spies on Korea. I'm using my spies on Korea because I'm unlikely to get an alliance with Korea, which means it's unlikely for me to be blocked from using spies on Korea. You cannot use your spies on your allies. So Korea is the target of choice. I'm also targeting Korea for another couple of reasons. It's because I'm also going to be stealing gold for a couple of reasons here. The first reason is gold, the AI gets like an 80% production boost to its gold. So every 1 gold the AI earns, they get 1.8 gold in total, which means that makes stealing money from the AI incredibly efficient. So my recommended build order is to do something like gain sources and then siphon funds. Sometimes you can do these other missions, like stealing tech is sometimes viable if an AI is significantly ahead of you, because maybe you'll pick up a few boosts that you wouldn't have otherwise picked up. I generally find gold is the best one to do, just because of like in terms of cost effectiveness, in terms of time, in terms of payout. It's usually the easiest, highest success chance on the missions. There's just a few reasons you will prioritize that in most of your games. Now, there are reasons to not do it, but they are relatively few and relatively far between. Humanism is looking really, really great here. We now have access to art museums, which we could theoretically pick up if we wanted to increase our culture. Most of our culture is going to be coming from trade routes, so we're going to avoid building too many theater squares. The occasional theater square is good for just getting that culture up a little bit. More and more settlers are coming to head to the north. So this will annoy Korea to settle here. It'll probably annoy the Ottomans as well, but that's not my problem. It's not my problem, man. The Ottoman, get it? Okay. I think we might be playing with a mod. No, we're not playing with that mod. Let's have a look here. So we need to design the city of Chalco. Well, we definitely want a commercial hub. So a commercial hub anywhere on these river tiles works. Perhaps we will do something like this. I need to be careful that I leave a farm triangle open for myself, but I prefer this production tile. So maybe we will do this. We will go campus and we will go commercial hub. Both of these will be +2, +3. These are reasonable yields from these tiles. Like they're not amazing, but they're not like terrible either. Let's get to work on that monument. I'll chop it out so the borders start to expand. That's important because that city needs a lot more tiles to work. So the Cree are being a little bit aggressive with their settlements, which is annoying because they're going to settle somewhere like smack dab in the middle of this river. And I wish they really wouldn't, but we have to now think about how we're going to be settling. We probably won't make use of all this land, but in particular, I want to prioritize putting settlements in this continent, which means probably somewhere on these 2 tiles. 1, 2, 3, somewhere on this tile. So which of these 2 would I like to place the most? Let's see, we got a good campus there. We got a good commercial hub there. There's an okay campus there and a good commercial hub there. So this seems like a pretty reasonable setup for these 2 cities. We'll figure out the rest later on. So that's our next 2 cities heading on over there. Chop for the monument plus the overflow will be nice. Do I want the granary? The city won't grow without a granary. The city needs tiles before it'll grow. I guess a water mill has a good return on investment here just in general. I'm going to send my units out to pre-block the tiles I want to settle on, just so they're kind of ready to back me up when I need them. Okay, more and more trade routes. Man, I'm having trouble actually filling out these trade routes. I need to think about my 3rd district and 4th district in Teotihuacan. We're light on production. We are waiting for mercantilism, which will allow us, and also my camps are going to get even better here with +1 food, +1 production, and I can also get lumber mills on jungle, which I think means that this city would be best served by getting a builder, because the second mercantilism is finished. Lumber mill, lumber mill, lumber mill. I do need to think about next steps in terms of districts. This city could perhaps go for, if I wanted to go in a militaristic direction, I could go for encampments. I don't know if I want to do that. I could go for a utility. It already is going to get access to an industrial zone and power and stuff like that. So I don't need to worry about that. It could get me an entertainment complex. Like, why not, right? I don't have a reason for anything else. I have an entertainment complex over here. The problem is I have nowhere to justify districts being put. So let me think about this for a moment. I could probably justify killing one of these farm tiles, and it would be this one right here. Let's have a look at the city overlap lens. And this does hit 5 cities. So theoretically, a 5-city entertainment complex seems pretty okay for me. So I'll go build their entertainment complex, and then I need to think about my next district. And it'll probably be a theater square next to that. So there's the utility of these districts placed. Bada bing, bada boom. University completed down here. Let's have a look at the city's tiles. It's working mostly improved tiles. There's a couple of citizens working unimproved tiles. It has most of its food buildings. It could use another district. What sort of district would I like? Well, these cities down here don't have an industrial zone between them. And there is a +4 industrial zone here, thanks to these 2 iron. And I could get this up to probably a +5. So I'll go ahead and place the industrial zone and get to work on it, especially because building 2 workshops actually gets me the boost for industrialization, and I'm building 2 industrial zones. So that seems like a pretty reasonable direction to take my empire. And this is what you want to be looking for. You want to be looking for things that just make sense, right? Not things that make you go, but just things that like kind of feed into your build and kind of logically flow, because a lot of Civ decisions actually do logically flow from what you're trying to do. Now, this is a problem, so you need to become a crossbowman. In fact, I need a trebuchet here. Can I sell anything? Nobody wants elephants. Does anyone want iron? Maybe Diplo favor. Maybe I shouldn't be selling Diplo favor when we're this close to a World Congress. So I'll hold off on selling Diplo favor. But somebody is willing to buy my strategics. So I'll sell off as many strategics as possible. And then that should give me the gold that I need to get myself a trebuchet. And the reason that you build a trebuchet is because trebuchets don't suffer a combat strength loss against boats, whereas archers do. You can see here, archers are doing -17, less effective against naval units, whereas the trebuchet does not have that disadvantage. I can show you that next turn when the trebuchet is actually finished getting set up. There's cartography, really, really cool. Let's go ahead and shoot with ranged attacks. Boom, and boom. I forgot to show you the trebuchet's combat strength. Whoops. Let me tell you this thing I'm about to do for you and then forget to do it. We have built a market in Teo. This city would take 16 turns to make a settler, which is a reasonable amount of time. However, that's going to increase rapidly as more and more cities start to finish settlers. So I need to be careful about dedicating too much production towards settlers. It's a scary thought. However, I do have like an infinite amount of land to settle. So, I mean, why not? More settlers means more problems, but more problems can be valuable. There's a mega colossal eruption, and you can see buying this trebuchet was really important because this caravel is actually attacking the city and it's actually doing damage to the city. So you can see the trebuchet doesn't take an attack penalty against boats. Ranged units do. So siege units are good at killing boats. It's just a mantra you should remember and learn. Let's go ahead and settle on the cattle. And I think the first thing we should do is chop that tile to get a monument. Again, we want the monument because the monument gives us culture, which expands our borders. Expanding our borders gives our population something to work, gives our builders something to improve, because we typically don't tend to have really good tiles in the first ring of these later settled cities, because you can kind of settle them a little bit less optimally and it's not a big deal. We have now access to mercantilism. This changes a few things. I've talked about them a little bit. It gives us access to some pretty powerful cards. Logistics is great for builders because it lets them move around. If you don't have monumentality, logistics let your builders be way more efficient at improving your empire. Triangular trade is great just because it gives you a ton of gold, like right now. You can see I'm getting a ton of gold. And if you can't see these numbers, by the way, I forgot to say this, but I'm playing with a bunch of UI mods. They'll be linked. But basically, it's a whole bunch of UI mods. It just makes the game a little bit more accessible, makes it a little bit more easy to make your decisions. And 28 gold, 7 faith right there seems pretty good to me. So I need to think about my next steps here. And I tell you what, I will have a little bit more of a think about my next steps in between episodes. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.